Have you ever sat pensively with a morning coffee on the porch, enjoying a bit of peace before the grandchildren come over for the weekend, but in your heart lingers a secret sadness? Last Sunday morning, while preparing a BBQ party in the garden, my 54-year-old neighbor friend Martha teared up confiding. She talked about the moment of quietly picking up fallen hair strands around the drain, feeling her confidence seeming to thin out as well, but not daring to complain to her husband and children. Hello, I am Alan. If you've also stood in front of the mirror, your chest tightening when looking at the amount of hair on the comb, then please remember that you are absolutely not alone. A small note for you: if the hair loss condition occurs too suddenly or persists, please consult a doctor. Have you wondered what is quietly taking away our once thick hair from years ago? Don't be discouraged just yet. Please stay and watch to the end of this video, because right after this, we will together expose the thief lurking right in the body, and more importantly, light up a new ray of hope with truly effective steps that you can start right away. All right, sip a cup of coffee and join me in finding back your radiant beauty. But to regain what has been lost, we must understand clearly how our body is changing. We often have the habit of blaming stress, age, or even the new shampoo bottle bought on Amazon. But do you know, deep under that scalp layer, there is a hormone switch that has just been quietly turned on? Let's talk about Susan, 55 years old. During last Thanksgiving, she had a wonderful time standing, carving the turkey, and laughing with the grandchildren. But in the evening, while relaxing on the cozy cushioned chair and scrolling through family photos tagged on Facebook, Susan's chest suddenly tightened. She was shocked to realize her hair part had widened noticeably under the dining room light. Susan was extremely bewildered because she had always assumed that baldness or thinning hair was only a story for gentlemen. Have you ever zoomed in on a photo taken at a weekend BBQ just to anxiously check what your hairline looks like? If so, you're not alone, because many of us have been just like Susan. The truth is, the culprit is not in the shampoo you use. When women enter middle age, the decline in estrogen creates an opportunity for a hidden enemy to rise. In our bodies, there is always a small amount of testosterone, and an enzyme named 5-alpha reductase acts as a catalyst, converting testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, or abbreviated as DHT. You can imagine DHT as a tiny invader. It clings tightly to the hair follicles, quietly draining vitality and making them shrink. This process is scientifically called hair follicle miniaturization. As the hair follicles increasingly weaken and narrow the growth space, the hairs that grow out will be thinner, lighter in color, and eventually stop growing completely. But don't worry too much. What I want to share here is not to scare you, but to affirm that hair loss is not your fault, and this endocrine switch can completely be controlled. We have identified the real enemy as DHT, and there are wonderful scientific methods waiting for you to discover right ahead. Before we delve into the weapons to regain youth for the hair, if you find these shares useful and resonate with you, please press the subscribe button below so we can continue these warm coffee conversations like this every week. Now, having known DHT is the root of the problem, many women start curiously looking at the hair growth medication bottle on their husband's sink shelf and naturally wonder one thing: will that miracle bring results for themselves? Let's look at the first fork in this journey. Many women often curiously look at the hair growth medication bottle on their husband's sink shelf and wonder, will this miracle work for me? Barbara, 58 years old, once had the exact same thought. Seeing her husband's hair still voluminous after many years of using finasteride, she couldn't help but feel sad when gently stroking her increasingly sparse hair part. One Friday afternoon, while standing waiting to pick up items at the familiar CVS pharmacy counter in the neighborhood, Barbara hesitated and whispered to the pharmacist, "Can menopausal women like me use the same medication as my husband?" That's a very reasonable question. In fact, finasteride and its brother dutasteride are famously a group of medications used to treat men's issues. Remember the enzyme 5-alpha reductase switch we just mentioned in the previous part? These two medications are the tools to turn off that switch, preventing the body from converting testosterone into DHT, the hidden enemy directly shrinking your hair follicles. Although commonly known as medications for men, in reality, women over 50 can completely use them according to specialized guidance, off-label, to treat hormonal hair loss. When DHT levels in the blood and at the scalp decrease, hair follicles will have a chance to breathe and gradually recover. But wait, before you plan to borrow a few pills from your husband, there is a secret about how this type of medication works that you must know. Oral medications can bring wonderful changes, but like anything going through the digestive tract, they will start an absorption journey into the blood and go to every nook and cranny throughout your entire body. That leads us to an extremely important next fork: the boundary of safety when choosing between systemic impact or focused healing at a single point only. Oral medications can bring miracles, but like everything entering the digestive tract, it will travel throughout the body. Imagine your body as a vast garden. If only a small corner is withered, would you turn on the sprinkler to flood the entire garden or just water the needed spot? That's also what Nancy, 62 years old, always ponders. Every morning, she has the habit of reading news on her iPad while sitting sunbathing on the porch. Recently, at the neighborhood book club, people were buzzing about the post-use syndrome of oral endocrine inhibitors. Information about mood changes, depression, or intimate troubles made her hesitate. Being extremely cautious with health, Nancy wants to save her hair but doesn't want to trade the peace of her entire body. This is when I want you to understand clearly the boundary between systemic absorption and local effect. When taken orally, the drug absorbs into the blood and spreads throughout the system. However, medicine has brought a more refined solution, topical solution. By applying directly, the medication concentrates the highest at the struggling hair follicles. The wonderful thing is this method minimizes the amount of chemicals absorbing back into the bloodstream. Thanks to that, Nancy can completely prevent hair follicle shrinkage without fearing complex psychological changes. The wonderful shift from oral to topical is truly a revolution. It makes care gently become a reassuring habit every evening. But if your scalp is extremely sensitive or simply you hate using chemicals, then what? Is there a miracle that is completely clean, non-sticky, and still revives the hair strands? Definitely yes. There is still a wonderful ray of light waiting for you. Nancy found peace with topical medication, but sometimes new life for hair starts from a red ray of light. The first time seeing a helmet emitting bright red light, you might immediately think of a science fiction movie about aliens rather than a beauty method. But that's the ray of hope we are seeking. Let's hear the story of Patricia, a 56-year-old woman. The first time buying the laser helmet home, she laughed at herself when looking in the mirror. However, it quickly became a peaceful habit. Every evening, she reclines on the familiar cushioned chair in the living room, wears the helmet, and immerses in watching the Jeopardy quiz show with her curled-up pet dog at her feet. The special thing is this method doesn't cause any burning or discomfort. Surely you're wondering, how can a helmet stimulate hair regrowth? The truth lies in low-level laser therapy, or also called LLLT. When the red light beams into the scalp, they penetrate deep into the hair follicles and awaken the mitochondria, the place likened to the cell's energy factory. Like a withered tree bathed in morning sun, red light helps cells produce more energy, reduce inflammation, and restore vitality to the thinning hair follicles over the years. Taking only about 15 minutes a day, you both relax and care for your hair very safely. If this helped, comment "I'm ready for healthier hair" below to motivate. However, our journey doesn't stop here. Millions of cells under the scalp, though, awakened by light, but for these young sprouts to grow strongly, they need abundant nutrition. Patricia's helmet has completed the path-opening task, and now your body needs to be supplied with the purest materials. So, what natural nutrient can help us revive hair without using chemicals? Continue. Patricia's laser helmet has awakened the hair follicles from deep sleep. But for these young sprouts to truly grow and stretch strongly, they need to be nourished. The scent of moist earth after a downpour always makes us feel so comfortable, right? Our bodies are the same, always tending to respond positively and most peacefully to what is pure from nature. Look at Margaret, 59 years old. You will see a truly radiant energy source. She has the habit of strolling around the farmer's market every Saturday morning, carefully selecting organic berries to make her own smoothie. When hair started falling a lot due to age, as an organic lifestyle lover, she resolutely refused to use chemicals. Margaret turned to nutraceuticals, which are herbal supplement capsules extracted completely from nature, typically like Nutrafol. Have you ever heard of balancing hormones, preventing hair loss process completely without touching any Western pill? That's exactly how nutraceuticals work. They are not just ordinary vitamin pills. Scientists have refined the most powerful plant ingredients to fight oxidative stress attacks and gently balance hormone levels in middle-aged women's bodies. Instead of forcing the body to change too abruptly, these nutrients slowly clean the environment under the scalp, reduce inflammation, and create fertile soil for hair follicles to safely proliferate. Margaret has found back her beautiful youthful hair in such a gentle way. She feels immensely peaceful when the body is naturally healed from within. The herbal pills have truly brought new vitality, but I believe this journey won't stop at plants. There is still an extremely powerful medicine flowing tirelessly right inside your blood vessels that you haven't realized. That's the miracle. The herbal capsules have brought new life to Margaret in the previous part, but there is another powerful medicine flowing right inside the body that you haven't realized. Rapid heartbeat, sweaty palms, That's the familiar feeling when facing new things, especially when it relates to beauty. Let's meet Elizabeth, 65 years old. This fall, her daughter will get married. In the afternoon, sitting on the porch, sipping cool iced tea with close friends, she always radiantly talks about the beautiful silk dress she just chose. But deep inside, she is extremely worried because her sparse hair won't be able to be elegantly updo. When learning about PRP, platelet-rich plasma therapy, Elizabeth was very scared. The thought of injection needles made her hesitate. It sounds like a complex and strange procedure, right? But in fact, this is one of the safest methods because you don't introduce any chemicals or foreign objects into the body. The principle is extremely natural. The specialist only takes a little of your own blood, puts it into a centrifuge to retain the plasma part containing a large amount of platelets carrying many growth factors. This essence is then returned to the gradually thinning scalp area. They act like a biological miracle, awakening the weakening hair follicles, stimulating them to regenerate and grow healthier. Understanding using her own blood to self-heal, Elizabeth gathered all courage. On her daughter's big day, she confidently smiled radiantly with voluminous hair. From topical medication, light, herbs to PRP therapy, Elizabeth had a wonderful experience. So, what if combining all these methods together? The real secret of successful hair regrowth people never lies in a single method. Please join me in exploring that miraculous combination. From Elizabeth's story in the previous part, we suddenly realize a truth. We often tend to seek a single miracle, a simple bottle solving all problems, but the truth is, hair health is like a symphony, needing many instruments to play together to create a perfect melody. Let me tell you about Carol, a 54-year-old friend. Yesterday morning, while swiftly arranging the daily pill divider tray to prepare for the cross-country RV trip with her newly retired husband, Carol recalled the discouraging time before. She was once extremely tired because of using only one type of topical solution for many months, without any change in her sparse hair. If you're also applying some solution every evening and feeling desperate because of no results, are you curious to know what secret helped Carol turn the situation? Don't look away from the screen, because the answer right after this will light up new hope for your hair. Carol decided to completely change tactics. She started combining multi-mechanism therapies, applying hormone-inhibiting solution topically, taking additional natural herbal nutrients, and wearing the red light helmet every day. Miraculously, instead of seeing it as a burden, the 15-minute hair care habit every evening became a wonderful relaxation ritual for her on the RV. This combination awakened hair follicles from outside, nourished from inside, and added energy with light, bringing superior effectiveness. Of course, always remember to consult a doctor before combining treatments. If you like, comment "great hair," and if the video is helpful even a little, please like this video. Just with 15 minutes, small change revived the entire hair, but what barrier is waiting? Our friend Carol in the previous part found the perfect formula for herself, but there is an invisible barrier that most of us women easily stumble upon when just starting this journey. In the era where we are used to pressing the order button on Amazon Prime and excitedly checking on the porch to receive items the next morning, having to wait for something for months on end is indeed an extremely tough challenge. Your hair grows to a completely unique rhythm, and once understanding this secret biological clock, all worries will immediately vanish. So how does that clock work miraculously? Look at Laura's story. 57 years old, she almost threw all the hair nurturing bottles into the trash after just 2 months of care without progress. Amidst being busy planning the winter vacation to escape snow in Florida with family, Laura sadly confided to me that she almost wanted to give up. That's when I shared with Laura about the natural life cycle of hair. Your hair goes through 3 phases like the seasons in a year. Anagen is spring sprouting when hair grows long, catagen is the short transitional interseason, and telogen is winter resting when hair follicles fall into deep sleep. When you start applying any care method, the dormant hair follicles need time to stretch awake and start a new life cycle. Scientifically, this process always requires at least 3 to 6 months for new sprouts to bud and create visible changes you can see. Thanks to understanding this principle, Laura became more tolerant with her body and patiently waited a bit longer. Then one morning, right before the flight to Florida, she called me and burst into tears of happiness when touching the stubby, vital baby hairs competing to grow. You see, sometimes the biggest barrier is not time, but our impatience. But how will this patience bring complete beauty when we know how to connect everything together? Understanding Laura's weight helps us realize the wonderful value of perseverance. Now, when you have all the scientific pieces in hand, let's look back at the full picture so you can walk steadily and proudly. If there was a time machine taking us back exactly 1 year ago, what would you say to yourself while standing sadly in front of the bathroom mirror? Last weekend, Mary sent me a photo. She is driving herself to attend the high school reunion. No more hasty hats hiding sparse hair or shying away from the camera like before. She confidently hugs old friends, blooming a radiant and complete smile. The patient process of scientifically combining methods finally brought sweet fruit. You see, the hair care journey is not simply a story of appearance, but how we regain confidence, self-love, and the right to master life. Stepping over 50 is actually just the starting point for the most radiant and free chapters of a woman. Science, understanding, and hope will always be here to accompany you. Of course, before starting any change, remember to consult your family doctor to find the safest and most suitable path for your body. Thank you for taking the time to sit back, sip a cup of coffee, and support me throughout this video. If today's shares bring you a ray of hope, please press the subscribe button and turn on notifications so we don't miss upcoming conversations. Don't forget to leave a comment sharing your own story. I'm always here listening. I am Alan, wishing you a truly peaceful, complete, and always radiant day. See you again.